19 years, 9 months, and 18 days before being stabbed while acting on the set of a vampire movie, Terrence, 24, was walking into a room to do his second ever audition. He and Melanie, 23, had stayed at her parents' house for a few months after the baby had been born. While back there in Indiana, Terrence had been submitting himself for film roles here in LA. Being called for this audition was the excuse that he had needed for the two of them to finally return. Melanie had borrowed some money from her parents, and now they were back. Hi, I'm Neil A. Yeager, and today I'm reading from my novel, Non-Hollywood. Check out my YouTube channel's About section, and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. In the About section, you'll learn more about me and my other books, such as The 33rd Year, which is about a person on a quest for meaning in the modern world. Tricky. But back to Non-Hollywood. This is chapter 31, Inappropriate Mustache Club. This audition was already feeling more professional than his first audition had been. This was no cattle call. They had scheduled him beforehand and given him a few options for appointment times, and so far today, it looked as though they were keeping to the schedule. As Terrence walked into the room, he noticed one person with a video camera on a tripod, 3 people sitting attentively beside the cameraman, and one person, also attentive, who was obviously the man he would be reading the scene with. They were gracious and polite, offered him a seat, and told him to take his time and begin whenever he was ready. Feeling pretty relaxed and pretty confident, Terrence read the scene. Felt fine. He was thanked, and he stood up to leave the room. As Terrence turned to leave, one of the men in the room said to him, "It was a good call losing the mustache." Terrence actually turned to look over his shoulder to see who the man was speaking to, but since there was no one else there, the man must have been speaking to him. Mustache?" said Terrence. "Yes, your mustache. It was a good move getting rid of it. You kind of looked like Hitler." Hitler? I'm sorry, but we just had to meet the guy who would sport a Hitler mustache in this day and age. Terrence was monumentally confused. He said, I'm confused." The man pulled Terrence's headshot from the top of the pile, held it up, and asked, "You don't think that kind of looks like Hitler?" And to Terrence's amazement, there on his professionally photographed, professionally reproduced photo was an unmistakable Hitler mustache. Terrence walked over and looked closely at the outstretched photo. It wasn't a smudge or a trick of light. It was obvious that someone with some sort of skill at photo manipulation had somehow fitted him with a tiny mustache above his lip. No doubt about it, it was a Hitler mustache. The man continued, "We just had to meet the guy who would submit that photo." Had to. Terrence, puzzled, began to murmur, "This is not, well, it's me, but I have no idea how." And then a thought occurred to him. He said, "Wait, was this the only reason that you called me in for this audition?" "Oh, I didn't say that." Terrence looked at the photo, then back at the man and said, "Yeah, you kind of did." "I guess you're right, I kind of did. Like I said, we had to meet you." "Okay, but for the record, I've never had a Hitler mustache, and I don't know where this photo came from." "Oh, well, that's a relief. Good to know that we weren't auditioning a Nazi," said the man. He then cleared his throat and said, thank you. We got other people to read here. We'll let you know." "Okay, thanks," said Terrence. As he exited the room, Terrence heard giggling behind him. One of the men called out in a stage whisper, "Seagull!" "Oh, damn," said the owner of the print shop as he examined Terrence's Nazi photo. "Another one. Damn. I'm really sorry about that, and obviously we'll reprint them for you for free." Terrence said, I went through the whole stack. It's only every 8th one. What the hell happened?" "Somebody we fired. That's what happened. He vandalized several actor headshots. This is the only Hitler mustache as far as I know. Some black eyes, warts, raunchy tattoos. I thought we'd gotten them all, but I guess not. Rest assured, he has been fired for it, and I am really sorry. Terrence asked, why only some of them? Well, we print them 8 up, which means that we print 8 at a time on one big sheet, then we cut them down to size. That's why no one noticed. They only looked at the top few, which obviously you did too. We're pretty understaffed at the moment, which of course firing him made worse, but I'll reprint them myself. And as I said, we will reprint them for free. Well, thank you. I suppose that's all I could really expect. Hope it didn't cost me any auditions. Again, I'm sorry, said the print shop owner. He then picked up the photo again, looked at it, and said, you gotta admit though, it was actually pretty good work. Looks like a real mustache. Yeah, it actually does. Not much use for that kind of skill though, unless he wants to work at a tabloid. Maybe that's where he went when I fired him, who knows? But I'll get to reprinting these things as fast as I can. We're slammed and understaffed, but I'll push this one to the front of the queue. Terrence nodded and was about to turn and leave the shop when a thought occurred to him, and he asked, you said you're understaffed? Yeah, that's how this went on without anybody noticing. Well, I'm kind of looking for a job. Kind of. Have you ever worked in a print shop before? No. I worked in an office supply store in high school, but I've never run a printing press and all that. Said the print shop owner. I do like that you were able to remain calm about this. Every one of the other actors and actresses who this happened to came in and blew up. Big drama. Felt like I was watching a movie and it was a scene where one of their loved ones had just been killed by the bad guy. Way over the top for a few messed up photos. Do you think you could stand behind this counter, keep your cool, and help people out? I think so. Okay, come in here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.